A number of newspapers and magazines have reported that Prince Harry and Meghan have been visiting the fires in California, in Pasadena, visiting the evacuees of the Eaton fire, and these magazines and newspaper articles like Elle and so on have been very positive and talking about these um, the efforts to lift the spirits of the victims, whereas the Daily Mirror did an article, and it's sort of snide and unattractive. And I'm going to read what it says. Prince Harry and wife Meghan Markle appeared as US versions of the royals as they visited victims of the LA wildfires, according to a body language expert. What exactly is that? Thousands of people have been made homeless by these fires, which may or may not be a result of arson, and it's certainly a tragedy that requires help. And they've donated supplies, they've opened their house to people, and they've encouraged others to open their houses to friends, relatives, and those people who've been made homeless, their neighbours. And big names have lost their houses. Mel Gibson, Anthony Hopkins, and so on. And they've donated, Prince Harry and Meghan have donated clothing, children's items, other essential supplies, and encouraged the people in America to do the same. I think there comes a point where the snide, nasty comments need to stop. And it only seems to be in the UK where this sort of nastiness is bred. It's not there in the international press at all. In the international press, there's a salute for the efforts being made by Prince Harry and Meghan, and they are indeed the spirit of the royal family at its best. And that's how it should be. So when they're actually doing their job, why do these horrible gutter press writers in the UK sneer with such concerted abandon? I don't really understand the negativity and the nastiness, but maybe somebody has greater insight than I do.
Greeting. The British tabloids have long been accused of exploiting the royal family for profit, but their relentless focus on Prince Harry and Meghan Markle has reached unprecedented levels. Their coverage often teeters on the edge of obsession, sensationalism, and outright fabrication. Recently, Professor Tim Wilson, a renowned academic and social commentator, has stepped forward to caution against what he calls a web of deceit, spun by these tabloids to manipulate public perception of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Today, we'll delve into Professor Wilson's warnings, unpack the broader implications of media deceit, and explore how this manipulation impacts both the Sussexes and public trust in the press. To understand the controversy, we must rewind to the beginning of Harry and Meghan's relationship. From the moment their romance became public in 2016, British tabloids seemed to take a vested interest in dissecting every detail of their lives. Headlines oscillated between intrusive speculation and outright slander, painting Meghan as an outsider unworthy of royal status. Professor Tim Wilson has been vocal about how this negative coverage stems from a mix of racism, classism, and a desire to sell papers. As Wilson points out, the tabloids capitalized on Meghan's background as a biracial, self-made American actress to craft a divisive narrative. For instance, her work ethic and independence were reframed as being difficult and demanding, while Harry's protective nature was spun as him being whipped or under her control. According to Wilson, this deliberate framing wasn't just about Meghan. It served a broader purpose, to maintain the outdated hierarchical structure of the British monarchy, where deviation from tradition is punished and conformity is celebrated. Professor Wilson's critique of the tabloids revolves around several key points, each highlighting the deceptive practices employed to undermine the Sussexes. 1. Manufactured outrage. Wilson argues that much of the outrage surrounding Harry and Meghan is deliberately manufactured by the tabloids. Stories are often blown out of proportion or taken out of context to provoke emotional responses from readers. For example, when Harry and Meghan stepped down as senior royals, the tabloids framed it as a betrayal of the Queen, rather than a thoughtful decision to prioritize their mental health and family well-being. 2. Selective reporting. Another tactic highlighted by Wilson is selective reporting. The tabloids frequently omit critical context or cherry-pick details to fit a predetermined narrative. For instance, Meghan's guest editing of British Vogue's Forces for Change issue was lauded internationally, but British tabloids chose to focus on irrelevant criticisms, such as her decision not to feature the Queen. 3. The use of anonymous sources. Wilson also takes issue with the tabloids' reliance on anonymous sources. Many stories about Harry and Meghan are attributed to palace insiders or close friends, but these sources often go unnamed, making it impossible to verify their credibility. This tactic allows tabloids to spread rumors without accountability. 4. Targeting Meghan's family dynamics. The professor has expressed particular concern over the tabloids' exploitation of Meghan's estranged relationship with her father, Thomas Markle. Stories about her family have been weaponized to paint her as a social climber who abandoned her roots. Wilson notes that such coverage is not only harmful to Meghan but also sets a dangerous precedent for how the media treats vulnerable individuals. One of the most significant consequences of tabloid deceit is its impact on mental health. Both Harry and Meghan have spoken candidly about the toll that media scrutiny has taken on their well-being. Meghan revealed in her interview with Oprah Winfrey that she had suicidal thoughts during her time as a working royal, largely due to the relentless negative press. Wilson emphasizes that this is a crucial point. The tabloids are not just reporting the news, they are creating a hostile environment that affects real people's lives. Beyond the personal toll, tabloid deceit has broader societal implications. Wilson warns that the constant stream of misinformation about the Sussexes erodes public trust in the media. When readers are repeatedly fed false or exaggerated stories, it becomes difficult to distinguish fact from fiction. Harry and Meghan's legal actions against certain tabloids highlight just how serious this issue has become. They have filed lawsuits over everything from privacy violations to defamation, signaling their refusal to remain silent in the face of media abuse. Wilson views these legal battles as an important step toward holding the press accountable for unethical practices. According to Wilson, the tabloid obsession with Harry and Meghan is rooted in their decision to challenge traditional royal norms. By stepping away from royal duties and advocating for progressive causes, the Sussexes disrupted the status quo. Harry, in particular, has been a thorn in the side of the tabloids. His outspoken criticism of the press, combined with his efforts to shield Meghan and their children from undue attention, has made him a target. Wilson argues that the tabloids see Harry as a symbol of rebellion, and their coverage reflects an attempt to suppress that rebellion by discrediting him. In his commentary, Professor Wilson urges both the public and the media to reflect on their roles in perpetuating tabloid culture. He advocates for a more ethical approach to journalism, one that prioritizes truth and accountability over sensationalism. Wilson calls on journalists to remember their responsibility to the truth. He argues that the press should focus on reporting facts rather than perpetuating harmful stereotypes or capitalizing on conflict for profit. Wilson also believes that educating the public about media literacy is key to combating tabloid deceit. By teaching readers how to critically evaluate news sources, society can become less susceptible to manipulation. As Harry and Meghan continue to build their lives outside the royal fold, the question remains, will the tabloids ever relent? Wilson is cautiously optimistic. He believes that as more people become aware of the deceitful tactics employed by the press, there will be a growing demand for change. However, he also acknowledges that the road ahead will be challenging. The tabloids have a vested interest in maintaining their narrative, and they are unlikely to back down without a fight. Professor Tim Wilson's warnings about the British tabloids serve as a powerful reminder of the dangers of unchecked media power. The web of deceit, spun around Harry and Meghan, is not just an attack on two individuals, it is a symptom of a larger problem within the media landscape. By calling out these practices and advocating for change, Wilson is helping to pave the way for a more ethical and responsible press. The question now is whether the tabloids will heed this caution or continue down their current path. One thing is certain, the public has a role to play in holding the media accountable and demanding better. Only then can we hope to untangle the web of deceit and build a media culture that values truth over sensationalism.